Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute, your source of internet marketing inspiration.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. I'm your host, John Henson, and last week I was invited on a local radio show here, Local Biz Now. Big thank you to Joe Vecnone for having us. It was a ton of fun, and look, if you get the opportunity to go talk on a radio show, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But in doing the prep for the radio show, one of the questions that Joe was going to potentially ask me, we didn't actually get around to it on the show, but it was something along the lines of what makes spotlight branding better than your competitors? What makes you stand out? And I thought it was just such a good question because I wonder how many of you out there actually have a good answer to this. You know, I think a lot of times, business owners will just give like a real standard answer like, oh, we have the best customer service. Oh, we've got the cheapest rates in town. And if those are your answers, I highly, highly, highly recommend you to figure something else out, right? Because look, having good customer service is quote unquote pay for play, all right? People kind of expect that, all right? No one is going to work with a company, a small business especially, that has a reputation for having terrible customer service, right? We tend to tolerate it a little higher up with like huge companies like Spectrum or Comcast or whatever, because we don't really have another option. But when it comes to small businesses, especially when you have 20, 30 other competitors doing the same thing you're doing, having good customer service should just be the standard, all right? It's not an option. And so when it comes to figuring out what that good answer looks like, a lot of other people say, well, we have the cheapest rates in town. That's also not a good answer, right? You don't want to cheapen yourself. You don't want to commoditize yourself because one, the people who are going to hire you because you're the cheapest lawyer are not going to be great to work with. And they're not going to have those long-standing relationships with you. But also, like, look, if you do come across someone who wants to work with you, but they can't afford your rates, you have a decision to make. You can either come down to their level and get them to pay you what they can. You can do it pro bono, or it's just one of those things where you refer that off. You just say, I'm sorry, this is what we charge. Here's someone else who might be able to help you. But trying to cheapen yourself just isn't going to be a great way to get good revenue either. Like, yeah, you may get a lot of clients, but you're going to be working 80 hours a week and you're not going to be making as much revenue as you could if your rates were higher and you were working just 40 hours or even less a week. So that's why, man, just stay away from the cheap rates or the good customer service angle. Instead, really try to find what truly differentiates you from your competitors, right? So like, for example, maybe you have just a wealth of data that you pour over for every single case to figure out what the trends are, what you should do, how something should be done. You're not just relying on your gut or how you feel about something to dictate it. Maybe you really do look at data, and that's what drives your success. That's how you make your decisions, and that's just how you center your firm's philosophy. That's one way to go. Another one is just kind of the relationship that you build and you carry for the length of the time that a client works with you. A lot of times we just think of working with someone as that up to the end point where their case is resolved, but there's still all of that stuff going on afterwards. So like, for example, if you're an estate planning attorney, a lot of times that relationship is up to maybe you just create their last will and testament and that's it. But then do something to continue that on, offer an annual estate plan review. Because, every year you sit down with someone, they could have had something change. Maybe they had another kid. Maybe they bought a vacation home. Maybe they just have some other assets or whatever the case is. And all of a sudden you sit down at that free review. Maybe some years nothing needs to change. But in other years, it's like, oh man, you really could use this trust, or you really could use this document, whatever it is. Now you have repeat business coming in, and it's people who you have a relationship with. They trust you. They're going to be great evangelists for your firm. And no one else in your city is doing that. Or if they are, they're not advertising that. All right. Same thing for like a family law attorney. You get up with, the divorce is finalized and otherwise you think you're done with them. But then there are so many other things after that. There's co-parenting things. There's, self-care. There's all kinds of stuff that you can offer, even if it's just content based, that you can keep offering and like enroll them in some sort of like, quote unquote class that you have, that's life after divorce. And so there's just little things like that you can do that really helps you stand out, that aren't, they're not going to cost you a ton of money in advertising to do or to pull off, internally. You're not going to add a bunch of expenses to do that, but it is what makes you unique, and it's what makes you better. Because rather than just saying, oh yeah, well, we're better than our competitors because we care more, you can actually show them and you have little bits of proof. And there are other things that you can do across all kinds of different practice areas and industries to make something like that work. At the end of the day, for Spotlight branding, we're better than our competitors because we're not going to throw our clients on this proverbial SEO hamster wheel and just keep taking their thousands of dollars every month and just be like, well, Google changed their algorithm again. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to, we got you to page 3. So you went up 4 pages since last month. So there is progress there, but we're going to just keep working. We're going to eventually get you on page 1 of at least one of these keywords, maybe. No, we're not going to do that. We have a track record of creating content for human beings, for your human clients that are going to hire you. And that's where we differentiate ourselves. And we have a track record of showing that it works and that it increases referrals and that you're able to attract the right kinds of clients and all of that. So think about that for the next time someone asks you, what makes you different? What makes you better than the other attorneys in your city? And I hope you have a really good answer for that. I hope you have a good system in place that really does differentiate your firm and really helps you stand out. All right. Hope that's a little bit of good inspiration for you this week. Keep remembering to check out Center Stage. We have a lot of good guests on. This week, I'm going to have Mark Wasserman, one of the Pop brothers at law, a really fun conversation. And we just talk about niching down and really finding your niche. He has a ton of great insight on how that worked really well for him, if you know anything about him and his law firm. But we also have a ton of other great guests coming up. We've had a ton of great episodes so far with a lot of good perspective and insight. So I really do encourage you to check it out if you have not done so yet. And otherwise, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. Please visit lawfirmmarketingminute.com for more information. We'll see you next time.